Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's December, it's the 13th of December, it's 2016. It's a Tuesday, and usually Tuesdays full of games here, but tonight we're only dealing with 6 NBA games, so we're going to be able to spend a little bit more time on these games tonight, which is always fun. You guys love that. I get tweets about it all the time. And first time joining the Morning Grind, first time guest here, Killa B. How you doing, Brett?
Good, man. Stepping into the NBA realm, just for talking purposes for the first time. So this should be interesting for me. Been basically playing full time here now, all of this year and then last year for NBA. So feel like I got the hang of everything well enough to throw out some knowledge. So.
Yeah, man, you're one of the nicer guys that we get the pleasure of working with here at Roto Grinders, and we chatted at the Roto Grinders party, and I said if you ever want to come on, you hit me up, and here we are, and I'm excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and it's kind of a smaller slate, but some really juicy games in this slate, and then some really bad games. So I think it's going to be pretty easy to target certain guys in a few of these games.
Yeah, man, I just need Cousins and Collison to keep doing what they're doing, and it's going to be a good night for the old Stevie machine. So
yeah, tonight you got to sweat. Hey, got a sweet stat line for you.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the box score of this guy, and you tell me who it is.
Uh-oh.
Right. So 26 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. And I'll give you the game. It was the Brooklyn-Houston game. Who would that be? 26 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Seems like a shooting guard, huh?
It does, but man, that could easily be Brook Lopez too.
And that's what it was.
Like the blocks tend to give it away. Like that's what sold me. Like he's like when
he didn't get that rebound until the 32nd minute. He got an offensive board with like 13 seconds left.
Oh, man. Brook Lopez, he's still one of my favorite guys to play. I talk about him on the podcast all the time. It's just we don't see that type of usage from centers. A guy that just gets a massive amount of usage. If he played 35 minutes a night, he'd be up there with the top 5 guys every night. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, though, because, he sticks right by the perimeter. He doesn't go in. Capella had issues with him. It's kind of good knowing that going forward. But, Capella didn't do too much. I think it was he didn't guard. The whole time he was out there, it wasn't like Capella was on him. But, it was just like one of those things he just never got off. So, should we start attacking this slate here?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Before we get into the game-by-game breakdown, just want to talk about our sponsor over at Rosters.com. If you guys haven't checked out Rosters.com, make sure you head on over there, check them out. Use promo code GRINDERS. That way you guys get incentives here at Roto Grinders for Rosters.com. At the end of the podcast, we'll have some value plays. I'll have some value plays, and then you can tell me if I'm on the right track with these value guys or not. You being more of a cash game guy, I love having cash game guys. One of my guys yesterday was Finley Smith, so I hope you guys listened to me on that. So let's see if we can make it a 2-for-2 Tuesday. So let's start it off. We have Memphis at Cleveland. We're looking at 201.5 here. Cleveland favored by 13.5. The injury news that we have here from Memphis is Gasol's already been ruled out for rest. Conley's out. Ennis is out. And Vince Carter, still questionable. I haven't actually seen him be ruled out for this game yet, so we'll just have to pay attention to that news. We'll start with the Memphis side of things. With Gasol out, what are you doing here with this, Memphis team?
Yeah, this is probably a spot where I will look for maybe one cheap value play. And the first guy that's on the board that I kind of like is Troy Daniels. I'd assume he's going to get more shots off without Gasol on the floor. So that's probably it. Potentially go a little bit of JaMychal Green. I would assume he gets more run, potentially obviously more rebounds also with Gasol out of there. But yeah, outside of that, I'm not going to be too interested in this game as a whole unless one of the big 3 in Cleveland is sat down.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And it wouldn't actually shock me if they sit somebody here. I think they play each other again on Thursday, right?
Oh,
or
yeah.
Wednesday. They play each other again on Wednesday.
Yeah, I didn't even look forward to that. So, that's a potential. Cleveland is favored by 13.5 here. So, this seems like a prime spot where they could rest one of their guys.
For me on the Memphis side, I'm with you. I do like Troy Daniels. Tony Allen's been playing a bunch of minutes lately. I don't mind him on sites where they haven't raised his price. The price is starting to come up in areas, but we're getting a guy that's probably going to play 30 plus minutes here at where he's still cheap. You know, some of the smaller sites. I seen his price on rosters was way down. Fantasy Aces, I think it's still way down as well. JaMychal Green, like not the best matchup in the world for him, but we just have to expect like with no Gasol, JaMychal Green's going to be locked into a bunch of minutes here. So I'm with you there. I feel like he's going to be a guy that I target in spots. He's not a core guy for me, but I'm definitely with you on the Memphis side. And then on the Cleveland side, like we would love to play, you know, LeBron, Love, or Kyrie if one of them sit, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just, I guess the reason why I would lean towards Troy Daniels is I feel like Troy Daniels is more blowout proof. Whereas, if they do get blown out in this game, Tony Allen, a guy like that, they probably sit down an older veteran guy. So I would lean more to the younger guys. But yeah, I mean, if one of the Cleveland guys gets sat down, you almost have to have interest in the other two. It's in a slate like this where you do have a lot of stars, superstars. I mean, you have Golden State, New Orleans, and OKC playing. So, I mean, all the studs are in play. It's going to be tough to get LeBron and Kyrie, but it's or Love. But it's something that you're going to want to think about if one gets sat down. It's just right now I'm not thinking about it because it's like, it's not on the table. So.
Yeah, the good thing about this, though, it's the 7:00 game. So it's the earliest game on the slate. So we'll have that news. So that makes it a little bit better for us. So we'll, be able to adjust. And if we get any type of news like that, anything else from Cleveland here outside of the big three?
No, I mean, when you have two of the, these are two of the bottom half in pace, and then both of these teams are really good defensively. I think Cleveland, I would just attack more at the guard spot. So, yeah, again, like that's where Troy Daniels lies. And I just feel like him potentially getting possibly 20 shots, I could definitely see it in a game like that tomorrow. So.
Yeah, and like you were saying, definitely a guy that could play in garbage time. So I like that call on Daniels. Let's move on. We have Orlando at Atlanta. No total in this game yet. I think they're all waiting for the Vucevic news and Biyombo. Both these guys questionable. Biyombo played the other night. He played a season high in minutes, and now he's questionable with that shoulder injury. Bazemore questionable on the Atlanta side of things. So I have to see how that kind of pans out. What are you looking at here with the Magic?
Yeah, I guess on the Magic side, I mean, it's one of those things where you really want to know what the injuries look like. So between Vooch and Biyombo, if one of them sits, then I'm really interested in the other. Yeah. It's still not a spot. Like I don't want to attack Atlanta with the bigs with Dwight Howard down low. I mean, Dwight's so good. But the minutes increase. If one sits, you would expect the other person to pick up a good 30, 32 minutes of run. So yeah, that's where my interest lies. And then maybe Alfred in tournaments. It seems like Alfred's been playing a lot better against Atlanta. I'd like to attack the guards, especially at point. So we did see him go off against the Wizards in a similar spot, and that was in Washington. So this is a spot that I wouldn't mind. He seems to be getting a little bit higher minutes. And if he's playing well, then they'll potentially play him over 30. So, but yeah, he's reached 28, 27 minutes in 2 of the last 3. So
I'm a Magic fan, so I'm completely biased. I think our team is garbage. I'm still so mad about the Oladipo trade, like so mad about that. But anyway, I'm with you. If Biyombo or Vooch sits, whoever plays out of those two, if one of them sits, they're definitely in play here. If one of them or both of them sit, you got to look at Serge Ibaka. Not the greatest matchup in the world, but he would see an increase in minutes. He played 36 minutes in that game against Denver the other night with Vooch out. So we could look at, 33 plus minutes from Ibaka. Not the greatest matchup, but definitely a spot I want to target. And Elfrid Payton, it's just going to be all about roster builds. Like if I'm in that area and I need somebody in that price range, he'd probably be a guy that I'd play. I love point guards against Atlanta. It's just Peyton is just so good or so bad. There's just no in between with this guy.
Yeah. If you had a guess, what do you think this line comes at? I would say Atlanta's been playing better ball of late. So, I mean, I could see this being somewhere around like an 8-point line. And I assume the line's not out because of the Vooch Vucevic and Biyombo news hasn't come out yet. So, but yeah, I mean, if those guys are both ruled out or one's ruled out, then I'd expect Atlanta to have even a bigger edge here. So,
yeah, 8 was what I was gonna say too. So I'm kind of right there with you. Looking at the Atlanta side of things, like I said, the only injury news we have here is Bazemore's questionable. Man, I'm really interested in Dwight here. Like, Dwight against Orlando just sounds juicy.
Yeah, and it's going to be really juicy if Biyombo's out because Vooch is not a very good defender. So if Vooch has to go in the starting spot, then Dwight should mash here. Price is right, especially on DraftKings, 6,900. Really cheap. Anytime you can get him under 7K, that's a phenomenal price. His minutes have really fluctuated though. If you look at his game log, I mean, he's been in the 19s, mid 20s. So that's kind of interesting to me that they've kind of been limiting his minutes. I don't know if there's foul trouble in some of those or blowouts. I feel like they've been playing better, so there shouldn't have been too many blowout situations there. But yeah, I love Dwight Howard, especially in tournaments.
And now looking at Millsap, he's been playing really good since returning from injury. His price is starting to reflect that, good play. We have so many studs here. Like, I don't mind him as a contrarian play, but I don't think he's a guy that I would look at in cash games.
Yeah, him going up against Ibaka, that's just, I think there's better spots on this slate. So yeah. I don't even know if I like it in tournaments. You're right with his block and steal upside. He can put together 7 or 8 of the steals and blocks together. So, and if he has a good shooting night, well, then you're looking at a 50, 60 point game. So, outside of tournaments and small exposure, that's where I'd be with Millsap.
Schroeder, his price is starting to increase. The guy that I like here is Sefolosha. He's been playing starters minutes. He's been playing with the starters, and he's been really solid as far as value goes lately.
Yeah. Been really consistent with their rotation here. I mean, he's seen basically 30 minutes. And I do like this spot. Price is rising, though, with his good play and his minutes increase. So I like him a little bit more on a site like FanDuel where you can get him really dirt cheap. But yeah, I think Dabo and Dennis Schrader are both cash game viable. So Schrader's minutes have been really going up too. He's been consistently hitting 30s last few games here. So I like that and feel like he's in a great situation versus Orlando here.
That's why I bring on a guy that plays cash games. I strictly think tournaments, and I see Schroeder's price, and I'm just like, can't do it. But you make some value points there. And ever since they put in Sefolosha in the starting lineup and moved Korver to the bench, like you were saying, this rotation has gotten a lot tighter since then.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to see Schroeder's minutes. And the reason why we couldn't ever play him or why he was only tournament safe is because he was only seeing half the game, half the run, and you had to hope on a night where he was just hitting his shots, and he's not a great shooter by any means. So, now that he's receiving, his last 40 minutes, 31 minutes, and 33 and a half minutes, I mean, he doesn't need to do much to return value on a DraftKings price of 6,200. So he's been over 6X each one of those 3 games. So.
All right, moving on. Before we move on to the Golden State game, I just noticed something in the Memphis-Cleveland game. That game opened at 208.5. It went down 7 points, like within the first hour and a half. I guess that was more than Marc Gasol news, but really have to pay attention to that Cleveland side there.
Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't scream like, Gasol coming out, like I bet you Cleveland already, is getting ready to, pull one of the big 3 out. So that's going to make this slate way more interesting.
Oh, please do that. Let's get some nice movement here. Golden State at New Orleans. We're looking at 224.5 here. Golden State favored by 10.5. The injury news here. Zaza is doubtful and Drew Holiday is probable. I love this game. It's the 5th and 7 nights for Golden State, and they've all been road games, I think.
Yeah, this is a pretty dream spot, and man, I'm basically looking at prices on DraftKings, and we're getting really cheap prices. You got guys like Durant, who's had 6 mediocre games in a row, and he comes into a spot where it's super juicy. You have Draymond, who's now playing a lot of center. So I think he's very, cash game viable across the industry. His rebounding should be there, and his minutes will definitely be there. He got 34 and a half minutes of run yesterday, or was that yesterday? No, 2 days ago with no Zaza. So I think his minutes are very stabilized with no Zaza. So yeah, love him. I mean, there's just so many guys in play. It's just how do you want to stack this game up?
Yeah. How many Golden State guys can we actually get into our lineup? That's kind of man. We're looking at it.
They're really good prices. What I'm seeing over on DraftKings, I mean, there's great value. You got Durant at 9,400. I mean, he was over 10K just last week. So, I mean, really like the prices too.
Yeah, it's really hard to pass up Draymond Green on FanDuel at 7,800. That screams lock for me. I know not the best matchup in the world, but man, that price tag for a guy that can triple double at power forward is just, I feel like that's too cheap. And we're looking at a New Orleans team that allows the fourth most fantasy points per game this season. So there's plenty of points to go around. If this game stays close, it's a game stack type game that could win you a tournament. Right.
And were you surprised by this line? I was kind of surprised. It's kind of at 10 points across the industry, it seems like right now. That's surprising to me. I felt like Golden State might have been like 13 or 14. So I actually stat mused Anthony Davis versus Golden State, and at home he's got some big numbers. So I'll just rattle off. I guess, do you want just his home numbers versus Golden State? Because usually at Golden State's been blowouts, and they haven't been as great. But his home, like he's been getting like 37, 40 minutes worth of run his last three.
Wow.
He's had a 45 and 17 with 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He always throws in that. The game before that at home, 26-15-4, so not as good. Game before that, 29-10, and this is, that was all last year. So, really like this spot for Anthony Davis if this game stays close. I don't know if you want to invest in him in cash games because it is a 10-point spread, so it is kind of scary to not get like a fourth leg or him playing as much in the fourth quarter here. But yeah, definitely tournaments, fire him up.
I think if Drew was out, the line would be different. But with Drew being back here, he played 40 minutes in that game against Phoenix. So, I'm not worried about the toe injury. Seeing 40 minutes in that game against Phoenix the other night, I think there's potential that this game stays close. I think 5 and 7 nights all being on the road, I feel like that's going to weigh. That has to weigh on you, right? It just has to weigh on you. And
yeah,
this game could stay close. Anthony Davis definitely in play. You just got done reading off his numbers, and I just was sitting here going, man, how much Anthony Davis can I get into my lineups here tonight?
And there is a big split with Anthony Davis, at Golden State versus at home. He isn't playing a lot of minutes at Golden State because they're just getting blown out. But at home, he's getting the full run, it seems like, the last year and a half. So, this spot is really set up well. And, I guess if I had to buy somebody on the other side of the ball, Durant and Draymond are my top two. But, as the shooters go, Curry could get hot at any time. So I would reserve both Curry and Clay in tournaments. But Draymond and Durant are both cash game for sure.
Yeah, we see it 2 or 3 times this season, but we've seen Clay's upside and ceiling. It's massive. The guy can just get hot, and when he starts getting hot, they keep feeding the ball, and we know he can get there really fast. Any of the cheaper guys in this game that you're interested in?
I guess I have to look at minutes with Drew Holiday back for New Orleans. I know Solomon Hill was getting a bunch of run, and that died off last game. So I'm going to have to look at what their rotation was. I'm pulling them up right now, and I'm not seeing a lot of consistent minutes out of anybody else that I really like. So on that side, no. But like you said, Klay Thompson, if I'm going to go with a tournament dart, I think I'm going to invest in Klay Thompson just because there's so many expensive guys in this slate where, Klay Thompson can get just as hot as Steph. So why not? And you're getting him, for basically 25% cheaper than Curry. So.
One of my favorite tournament plays on the slate comes from this game. It's Tim Frazier. With Drew Holiday being back, people are going to jump off. And he triple-doubled in that Phoenix game. And, the Golden State matchup for Tim Frazier is still a solid matchup. So,
Did you see his price increase? He went $500 on DraftKings. So, I mean, he got all the run, and he was coming off the bench. So, crazy that he got 38 minutes of run off the bench. So, yeah, very interesting, but I would reserve that for tournaments also.
Oh, yeah, straight tournament play. And I'm a sucker for high usage guys off the bench. It's something I talk about all the time. Just a sucker for it. It's something I've been doing for 3 or 4 years now, and I can't tell you how many tournaments I've been in contention to win or won with high usage bench guys being the guys that put me over the top. So
yeah, I was just talking about that today, like the Wilson Chandlers, the Lou Williams. I mean, they've been so money for me this year. I mean, Wilson Chandler just put up the biggest stinker today. I think he had like 4 fantasy points, but man, those guys have been so solid. Yeah,
it's tough to play Wilson Chandler coming off of an injury. Like, I'm so glad I didn't touch that. But let's move on. We have Minnesota at Chicago, 208.5 total here. Chicago favored by 7. Both teams at full strength. No injury news here. We'll start with the Minnesota side. What stands out to you here?
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a total void in cash games. So, I mean, anything that I say will probably be just tournament flyers for me, and not too high on anybody in particular. So, on Minnesota side, I mean, I guess I don't mind Gorgui Dieng.
Yes, that's my guy in this game. I love it.
The main reason is Bajelica's been kind of hurt, so I feel like his minutes are more secure. I feel like he's still questionable going into this game, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But he got 35 minutes of run, almost 36 2 days ago, so against Golden State. So I feel like his minutes are more secure. Power forward is kind of where you can attack this Chicago team. So yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, I like the Gorgeous Dong here. I feel like if you want to take a shot on Cat, I don't mind Cat here. Probably not a guy that I'm going to end up with a lot here. There's a center that we're going to talk about that actually probably crazy, but I like him. So we'll talk about him here in a game coming up. On the Chicago side, Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade have been both playing really well. Good matchup for Rondo. What are you doing here with the Bulls?
Yeah, this is, again, probably a void situation for me. I mean, I just like so many better spots, but if I am going to go with someone, it's going to probably be between Rondo and Wade, and I'm leaning more towards Rondo here. I feel like at point is where you can kind of attack this Minnesota defense. So, yeah, I do like Rondo a lot more.
Yeah, and if it came down to Butler or Wade, I'll take the savings and I'll take, Levine defense because I think Wiggins will be on Butler. So I'll probably have some tournament exposure to Wade, but Rondo probably the guy that I'm going to be looking at here. Anybody else from the Bulls?
No, but I do love how tight Minnesota's rotation is and how many minutes like Zach LaVine's getting. I mean, I'm just looking at his game log. He's consistently reaching 40 minutes. I mean, there's certain spots where he's like only 35 or 39, but man, that is nice to get a guy like that, especially when he's hot. But, again, I'm having troubles clicking on these guys' names in tournaments. I reserve it only for tournaments. So
yeah, there's just so much on the slate. Like for a 6-game slate, there's just so many good spots to attack.
Yeah.
This next game, New York at Phoenix, 220.5 total here. New York favored by 3.5. The injury news that we have to pay attention to. Kyle O'Quinn is questionable. On the Phoenix side, like TJ Warren is getting close to playing, so we'll have to see, what's going on with that news. That would definitely throw a wrench into things for the Phoenix side. We'll start with the Knicks here. Phoenix allowing the 3rd most fantasy points per game to opposing teams. What do you like here for the Knicks?
Yeah, just also state TJ Warren and Alex Len are both questionable. So that's going to be kind of big if one of those guys is out. But, yeah, on the Knicks side of the ball, there's a lot to like here. I mean, I really like Derrick Rose. It seems like this is a great spot, a fast-paced game where he can attack the Phoenix guards. So, this is going to be one of the faster-paced games, or the Knicks will be in such a paced-up game that I really like Rose in this spot. So, like his floor, great for cash and tourneys. And then, Joakim Noah at 4K. I mean, yeah, probably not. I'm trying to think like what Phoenix is going to have for big men with – if Len is out, they're just, they're going to have to bring in some guys that they're not going to want to play heavy minutes. But let's see. Yeah, I guess it's on their side ball. But, both Carmelo's been hot, and then Porzingis had just a huge game last week, or last game. So, I mean, I guess I don't mind a little bit of exposure there. I don't know which one I side with for cash. They probably both just barely missed the cut. So, mainly looking at Derrick Rose here, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you on Rose. I don't mind Melo. Don't mind Porzingis. Like it's a 3-man offense in this Knicks team. So pace up game for them. Definitely a team that I want to target on this slate. If we get news that O'Quinn is out, and we have that news before lock. Hernangomez played 20 minutes in that game against the Lakers the other night and had 26 fantasy points. An interesting option off the bench there. Strictly tournament play, but almost min salary on every site. So if we get news that O'Quinn sits, I don't mind Hernangomez there.
Yeah, I think this might be the best game for value, actually. I do like a couple other guys on the other side of the ball here, but it's going to matter who's in and who's out. And I think there's a little bit more injury concern here on the Phoenix side of the ball. So that's where I'm looking for value more than anything.
All right, let's talk about the Phoenix side. Eric Bledsoe, back-to-back 30-point actual point games. Just two good matchups, and let's just be honest, like Derrick Rose probably not going to be able to shut down Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, Bledsoe has been phenomenal. His price still seems cheap on DK, coming off of 50-point DK points. So, yeah, I like him in this fast-paced game. But I'm again really wanting value in this spot, and I guess like if we get news that Alex Len's out, I mean, I love Tyson Chandler's spot. I think his minutes would be really guaranteed around the 30-minute mark. He got 35 minutes against New Orleans, so this is just a spot where I want a lot of exposure, I think, to Tyson Chandler.
Well, I said that I had a center that I liked, and I'm with you. I love Tyson Chandler. Even if Len plays, I love this spot for Tyson Chandler. He's going to be a guy – I think he's going to be a core play for me here. I feel like going down at center to fit in studs elsewhere. We haven't even talked about Westbrook yet. So, like, to get in these studs that we've talked about, I feel like Chandler, just price tag across the industry is just solid. And if Len's out, we get 30-plus minutes for Chandler. I have a hard time not seeing hit value here. So, I like Chandler as well. If Len's out, I could see them going really small and Brandon Knight getting some extra minutes too.
Yeah, I feel like I've only played fantasy basketball for about a year and a half now, but Tyson Chandler seems like one of those guys when he's healthy, he always has a run like this where he gets like 30 minutes a run and puts up just really huge rebounding numbers. And we're seeing it now. Like he's had 2 double-doubles. He's had a 21 rebound or coming off a 21 rebound game. And the Knicks are definitely susceptible down low. They don't, I feel really comfortable in Tyson Chandler. So, yeah. And then, I guess Leandro Barbosa is another guy that I wanted to bring up. He's been getting a lot of run. They've been using him more for his defense, but he's been really putting up the points. I'm very surprised of how much he's actually shooting the ball. He's shot the ball 30 times the last 2 games. So, I mean, he's had a little bit over average of 30 minutes per game the last 2. So if he gets anywhere near that, that easily pays off his $3,300 salary on DraftKings.
Nice little call there. I hadn't even realized that. So I like that. I like that call. That's a tournament there type play. I can definitely get behind that. And if Len's out, like, I feel like they go small, so all these guards could definitely get some big minutes. Anybody else from this game?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's going to really matter what injuries. But yeah, I'm staying away from like guys like PJ Tucker. I mean, I think a lot of Phoenix is a lot of tournament plays with Devin Booker. You never know when you're going to get a Devin Booker day. The guards seem to like rotate, but Bledsoe's the consistent guy right now.
Yeah, if there's ever a spot to do it against the Knicks. Courtney Lee's defense awful. Booker, if you're playing on FanDuel, like $5,800 for Booker, definitely a fair price there. I'm gonna definitely have some exposure there in tournaments to him. Oklahoma City at Portland. No total in this game yet, and it has a lot to do with Oladipo questionable here with a wrist injury, missed practice on Monday. No, they want to test him in morning shoot-around, so we're going to have to pay attention to that news. Hopefully we get that news like early in the morning, hey, Oladipo's out, Oladipo's in, we're good to go. Like that definitely makes a difference on this slate. We'll start with the Thunder side here. What's your thoughts on the Thunder with this Oladipo news?
Yeah, so, I mean, without Oladipo, I mean, does that mean Russell Westbrook's usage goes up even higher? Because that'd be pretty ridiculous. So, yeah, Westbrook on FanDuel I think is a easy play. On DraftKings is where you have to decide whether or not you want to go with him. At 12-7, he starts becoming, it's really tough to put in too many studs with him at 12-7. So you're not going to be able to get too much exposure in the Golden State New Orleans game. I mean, I can see fading Russell Westbrook on DraftKings for sure, just because I personally like the Golden State New Orleans game that much where I'm okay with fading him.
And kind of what you were saying earlier, like Curry is 8,400. That's a massive saving. That's $4,300. And then on the other side of this game, we'll talk about Lillard in a minute, but we're looking at 8,300 over there for him. Like there becomes a time where Westbrook's going to go 60, 70 points, but like your lineup could look better and potentially do better on DraftKings without Westbrook. So FanDuel, I'm with you. It's just too easy on FanDuel. Like, shout out to FanDuel. Love you guys, but the way you guys have your NBA product set up, it's really easy to fit in two studs every night.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, if Oladipo is out, like I don't know really. I guess Westbrook would get the big bump here. Roberson probably. I just don't see how he could play more minutes than he's playing. Like the biggest bump could come from a guy like Jeremiah Grant, which.
Yeah, what I would see though is maybe Roberson being a little bit more aggressive with his offensive game, and then a guy like maybe Sabonis getting some extra shots and some extra minutes. But yeah, they don't have very offensive-minded guys. Like all the offense really rolls through these two guys. So if he's out, then that means the shots or the playmaking ability has to go through somebody else. So maybe that just means a few extra drives for like a guy like Roberson. But yeah, I mean Westbrook's usage just goes up that much higher then.
On FanDuel, I love going down in small forward. Roberson, a guy at 4K over there that I'm definitely going to have some interest in. Any of the big guys here for Oklahoma City that interest you?
I think you gotta check Steven Adams' game log. Like, I mean, he's really come alive here now the last couple games. It's mainly all shot based, and that's what I hate. So it's not like. It's not like I can really buy into those huge games that he's had, and his price has gone up. So I think a lot of people will probably click on his name just with the recency bias, but I'm going to kind of stay away from that. And then, that's basically it. I mean, if Oladipo is out, I will look to get some exposure. Do we like Anthony Morrow? There's these guys that we don't know, like where is that extra usage going to go? Like, I don't see it. Like, I'd probably be more likely to invest in Roberson and Sabonis. So.
All right. Interesting on the Steven Adams thing. Like, if this wasn't such a good matchup, I would be totally with you. But, like, God, Portland is not that good against the front court. They don't rebound the ball well. Like, I do have interest in Adams here just because I don't like paying up at center tonight. Oh, man. I don't like being on the other side of you, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, are you thinking double center on DraftKings then? Going like Steven Adams and then who else were we talking about?
Yeah, I honestly, I haven't looked at a lot of DK stuff. When I prep for the show, I do a lot with FanDuel and rosters. DK is something that I do later on in the day. But, I don't mind the two centers. I love having a utility center, but it all depends on price too.
Yeah. Normally, like when I like to invest in a guy is when I see a minutes bump or like a usage bump because of an injury. And those two things really didn't happen with Steven Adams. And like, even if Oladipo's out, sure, maybe Adams, I don't know, like he doesn't have an offensive game off the ball, So like all of his offense is really driven because of Westbrook and Oladipo. So without Oladipo, his offensive game might hurt a little bit. So I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, like, at the end of the day, Portland's still not a good rebounding team. So, like, I feel like the double-double is definitely going to be there. I don't see a 40-point game, what we've seen over the weekend for Adams, but I could definitely see 25-30 here. If I'm playing one center on DraftKings, I just pulled up the pricing. I definitely like Tyson Chandler for the discount.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta like his floor because, like you said, I mean, how bad Portland is rebounding the ball. So, yeah, high floor. Is his ceiling as high, as the 40-point game against Houston? I don't see it. I mean, he's only missed 2 shots the last 2 games. So, and most of those have been dunks. So, yeah, I mean, I do like his floor mainly because of his rebounding.
Can't do that forever, my friend. You can't miss one shot forever. Cannot do it. Now, looking at the Portland side of things, let's talk about Damian Lillard. We love point guards against Oklahoma City because Westbrook just doesn't play defense. The guy puts so much effort into offense. They're in DVP. They're ranked 27th against point guards. I think fantasy points allowed, they're in the top 5 too. So, like, Lillard in this spot, a high usage guy like him, it seems ideal.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock in Lillard for sure on like DraftKings. So he's just way too cheap. We're getting him at 8,300. Like, yeah, I mean, in a spot where he should go off. So I feel like he's I don't know, $1,000 too cheap in this spot. So yeah, I love Lillard going off. CJ McCollum's only 71 or is 7,100. So it's only 1,200 more for Lillard. Like, if you could just compare that, like, that just seems ridiculous. So yeah, I'm buying all the Damian Lillard here. I expect him to go off in a great matchup. So
yeah, way too cheap on DK. Way too cheap for Lillard on DK. I'm with you there. FanDuel, it's a little tougher on FanDuel because he's 9,700, and you can probably just find that extra money for Westbrook in that instance. But like, he's still a good tournament play over there. And if you want to go up at 2 point guards in FanDuel and cash, like, I have no issue with that either. But there are some value guys that we talked about. McCollum should draw Roberson defense here. I don't really love CJ McCollum in this spot. Interest there?
Yeah, I think it's a tournament play, and I think it's if you're going to fade Damian Lillard. So, like, even on FanDuel, where the gap is a lot bigger between the two, I could see having maybe a little bit more exposure to McCollum. But yeah, where it's only 1,200 on DraftKings, I mean, I'm going to buy all the Lillard there. So I'll be very heavy exposed to Lillard on DraftKings versus like FanDuel. I can see having a little bit more on McCollum, but I think both guys can go off for huge games here.
Harkless bad the other night. Not a great bounce back game tonight. Pulled up the box score, just didn't really do much against the Clippers. The better matchup for him here. I don't love him, but I honestly don't hate his price either.
Yeah, so I'm actually really interested in Al-Farouq Aminu. So we got a blurb that said he will start on Monday. He started today. So like, what was his stat line today?
He had 20. He played 20. The game there's 18 seconds left in that game. It's a 5-point game. He played 21 minutes, 10 points, 2 turnovers, 2 assists, 4 rebounds.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, if he's on a minutes restriction, then I'm not liking it. But, I mean, he's so cheap across the industry. Like, if I knew he was going to get 30 minutes a run, I'd be all in on him. But, yeah, this is Harkless is in a good spot. Harkless was consistent there for, like, 2 weeks straight, like a perfect cash game play. And then he had one bad game against the Pacers 2 games ago. And then, like you said, today he didn't do so hot, right?
And then one other guy that I want to mention from Portland is Evan Turner. Put up 12 shots, had a lot of usage off the bench here, with him going back to the bench with Aminu back. Interesting. I go back to that usage off the bench. Like, Evan Turner, tournament play only, but probably a guy I'll have some exposure to where he's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, with the rotation here, I mean, Harkless is really consistently getting 30 minutes, and then it seems like Turner is – I mean, man, Turner can have like a good 30-minute run. He can do 20 minutes. So you don't really know what you're going to get out of Turner. And I think it's based upon how he's playing in the flow of the game. So, yeah, Turner only in tournaments, but I wouldn't mind having a little bit of exposure there.
Sure. Well, that's going to do it for the game-by-game breakdown. Every day I pull up 3 guys that I like on rosters.com under 10K. I'm going to let you be the judge of the value guys that I have here today. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, if you guys haven't checked out rosters.com, make sure you head on over there, use promo code Grinders. That way you guys get incentives here. They always run cool promos, so you get access to those as well. First guy I got here is a guy that you liked, so I'm sure we're on the same page here with Derrick Rose. He's 9,500. Don't see him cheap really anywhere across the industry anymore. And at 9,500, under 10K over there at Rosters, really like Derrick Rose in that spot.
Yeah, in such a paced up game, like that's really cheap. I play on Rosters, so yeah. I mean, they're a little bit slower to price their guys up, so and that's definitely one of the guys that's mispriced.
All right, next guy I have here is a tougher matchup, but I feel like the minutes are going to be there, and a guy that I'm going to be playing over there is JaMychal Green. He's 7,600 over there. Get a guy under 8K that should play 30-plus minutes. What's your thoughts here on playing JaMychal Green over there on Rosters?
Yeah, I mean, I like him again. You know, no Marc Gasol. The only thing that I worry about is the blowouts, but, I mean, they're going to have a thin rotation. It'd be interesting to see how many active bodies they have in Memphis, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like only 9 or 10 healthy bodies there. So if Cleveland sits one of the big three, then I like him even more.
And then the last guy I have is 6,700. I don't usually go down this far, but I was browsing through, and Sefolosha is 6,700. Ever since he's moved into the starting lineup, we've seen the minutes be locked in, seen the role locked in, and at 6,700, that's insane value over there.
Yeah, plus they're going against your team, Orlando. So
Magic stink.
It should be a decent spot for Thabo, and like you said, yeah, tighter rotation. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. 6,700. I think the min in there is 6K. So living on the edge, and I like it.
All right, Brett. Well, I appreciate you, man. Where can everybody find you over there on Twitter?
It's just at Killaby2482. So yep.
All right, make sure you guys head over to Twitter, follow Brett. He does amazing stuff here at Roto Grinders. One of the best cash game players in the industry. I'm hoping we get you on again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and definitely looking forward to doing this more often, especially once the NFL season's done. Then I'll be totally focused on the NBA.
All right, my friend. Thanks again. It's going to do it here for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Grind podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with Notorious and SBK doing a 3-man pod again. Until then, good luck in your contest tonight, and we'll see you then.